there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Market here with kind of a rant video, kind of a market analysis video for an announcement that just was made by Wizards of the Coast for an upcoming event for local game stores called a Commander Clash is what I think they're calling it. So first of all, let's just cut through the BS here and call this exactly what it is. This is just a gimmick by Wizards of the Coast to try and dump worthless products back into the market. So I'm thinking that they just must have a warehouse full of this stuff and they want to move it. And I guess I should be a little bit happy they're not going the Amazon route. So they're going more the brick and mortar route, but they're still passing off this failed product onto the stores to make up for all the, the terrible sales. And I'm thinking that the compensation for this it's just very half-assed for what Wizards is doing here with this. They could do a lot more with this. First of all, how many people are actually going to hear about this? Because they're just passing it on. I actually heard about it from my distributor. My distributor linked this. And yes, I'm part of a few Wizards like Facebook pages and stuff that they do announcements, but all in all, they're not the best at communicating with their stores, let alone with distributors. It just has to go down the pipeline for people to actually figure out exactly what's going on, and we still don't know exactly what we're supposed to do with this event that's coming out. But again, let's call a gimmick what a gimmick is. This is the reason why they're doing it. They're not trying to be nice to game stores. They're not trying to be like, oh, here's this great little event that we're going to run. What I'm thinking, and this is the new strategy for Wizards going forward, I'm thinking Wizards more like clothing stores or clothing manufacturers. So if you're not familiar with how the clothing manufacturers do, is they come up with a product like a new shirt or new clothing, whatever, and it's seasonal, or they think it's only going to last for a year before the styles rotate. They just blow it on the market at first for high prices, and they're going to make as much profit margin as possible while that product's hot, because then they don't mind just blowing it out for nothing later on. And I think that's kind of the new strategy that Wizards is doing, and it's working for them in the short term of just continuing to pump out the FOMO. We hear this new product, you got to get on this new product, get everyone excited for 2 weeks, and then move on to something else and not give any breathing room for those products to ever to kind of regain momentum or still be desirable after the fact. And then they just end up dumping it on the market however they can do so, whether it be through gimmicks like this or whether it be through Amazon dumps. So the Commander Clash, what it is June 2nd and 4th. WPN stores are encouraged to run this Commander Clash, and they're going to give out 5 promotional Strixhaven Commander decks. Well, again, that's kind of nice. I mean, I think the value of that when Strixhaven came out was like distributor price was like $140 for a set of Commanders. So WPN stores are getting a free $140 basically to run this event. But I mean, look at the information here. It's basically up to the stores how we run this. So it's a perfect fit for Commander community and for players new to the format. Commander decks are designed right out of the box. However, so how this is going to work is they're putting them on sale at the distribution level, and the distributors are supposed to pass on those sales to local game stores to then purchase from them. And so there's another massive wave coming from Wizards. However they must do it, they must have warehouses. And then those warehouses go to the distribution level. There's like 5 or 6 distributors out there. And then WPN stores are going to purchase those Commander products from the distributors at a discounted price to run these events. But so far, there hasn't been a lot of information at the distribution level of how many of these are available. I know that all they're doing is if we do sign up for this event, you do purchase Commander decks from the distributors, as a store, you do get 5 of them. However, again, I mean, they're really just making up for no promotionals like posters, no big announcement to the community. No, I mean, they're really passing the buck on to the stores to really run this event to get rid of their dead product for them. And the biggest issue with this is many of these products that are going to be eligible for the sales, first of all, it's not like the latest ones. I think it's like up to Brothers War that are going on sale. So it's if I remember, it's Kamigawa through Brothers War that will be slightly discounted for this event. And so they're not even like tapping into their newer sets for these Commander things. So again, it just shows to me that this is just their way of trying to empty warehouse space for failed products. So they overprinted these Commander products because Commander products are becoming less and less popular every release. So when they announced these Commander products, they were super hot and everyone purchased many of them because Commander at that point, when they started doing this, I don't know, was it around Ikoria time or Zendikar, I think was the first one they started to release a Commander deck with each set. remember the Commander was only a once a year thing. They'd released their 2019, 2020, 2021 Commander decks, and it was a one time a year thing. And so people had a lot of anticipation for new Commander products. Then Commander became such a popular format, like, hey, let's do with every set. And now what we're starting to see is the wallet fatigue and just product fatigue of Commander players not being able to keep up with having to buy 1, 2, 4, 5 Commander decks every release. And now they have overprinted them, and this is their way, like I said, to take out that seasonal clothing that's not selling anymore and then blowing it out because they've made the profits that they could on those products. Now they just need to get their costs back for these products. So, however, rant over with that. This is a good little opportunity, though, if you are a patron, to get in on the patron prices for these. I believe it's going to be $105 for all of the 2-set commanders. So let me see. I had my little cheat sheet up here. So the ones that are going to be eligible are Kamigawa. So it's the one that comes in the 2-ofs, which I think is Kamigawa, Dominaria, Brothers War. And was there another one on there? And Baldur's Gate, I believe. I think those are the ones that are discounted at 105. And then the ones that come with more than like the Streets of New Capenna are slightly discounted from their, I think it's be 130 or 125 for the set for the ones that comes in 5. So all in all, it's a pretty good deal for these Commander products. The problem is many of these products are really still suffering from oversaturation, and the main issue they're having with Commander products, which I think is a bad decision by Wizards of the Coast, is including these type of cards. They're not exclusive to the Commander decks themselves. You can get them out of set boosters, you can get them out of collector's editions, and a lot of that supply ends up getting into the mix from those outlets. So not only are there too many of the Commander decks printed, but then on top of that, Collector's Booster just really, really dumping them out of supply into the market with these non-specific cards. So as you can see, there's not a lot to get excited by some of these. Like Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is pretty meh. Streets of New Capenna does have some decent ones in here with it, but it's a little more pricey with that. And the really good one that I've seen is Dominator United. Like Dominator United is the one that does look like there is absolute arbitrage available. I think I was going through the Card Kingdom buy list, so I've got this pulled up right here for the Card Kingdom buy list for the Dominator United. And I mean, right off the bat, here's one. Let me blow this up here. There's one that can go for $20.50 or $26.65 for the Greensleeves Marrow Sorcerer, and then like the Reaver Cleaver for $28. And so again, if you're getting on a set for $100, you add up all of these, you're making your money back. Yeah, definitely you're going to make your money back. I think I added like $70 on the first page, and then there's a lot of like 60-cent, 50-cent cards. So if you wanted to put in some elbow grease and really wanted to break these down, I've done this in the past before, especially like Pokemon. We filled up an entire garbage can one time breaking down a product. I can't remember what the product was for this kind of arbitrage, breaking it down into components and then selling the products online. And it's a lot of work. I mean, your hands hurt afterwards. You have little paper cuts and you'll fill up a bunch of dumpsters. But it was something that was quite rare to find these products. I'm starting to see them all over the place. I'll be talking about them in future videos of things like arena starter kits and certain theme boosters that have been blown out the distribution level. You can actually break down the components and Card Kingdom them for more than the components actually were. I think we did that with Chandra's Spellbook. My last video with the Commander Black is another example. And I'm assuming there's going to be more and more of these as time goes on, as Wizards has really adopted this position of just continuing. It almost seems like they don't know what's going to be. They're just throwing darts to the wall, and whichever one sticks, that's where they're going to make their profit margins, because it really shows to me that everything that Wizards of the Coast does must be profitable at their level. And the real profits comes when they have that knockout home run set that does sell to their hearts, like the ones that do sell to the amount they printed actually outweigh or out the cost of the ones that don't sell, and then they have to dump on Amazon or through this way. However, again, going back to the rant, I think this is massive gimmick. I don't like how they pass on the bill to like the stores to really promote this and whatnot. And again, I mean, who's going to enforce this? People can just, right now, the distribution level at the R store, they can just ask for the 5 promotional Commander decks, and they get that. They've done this before. They did it with like Kamigawa. They did it one time before with one of the Innistrad sets too, around like Halloween. They blew it out, and we were supposed to run like a Halloween type event for Innistrad. But who even heard of that? Like you have to would come on the, it's even in like their main page or is this on the WPN page with this. There's no posters, there was no promotion, there was no one even heard anything about it. I don't think they have even had any like flashback drafts on MTGO or on Arena even talking about this. It really was up to the stores. They were getting quote unquote discounted prices to then run and try to sell WotC's dead products for them. But again, though, this is a good opportunity if you are a patron with the prices. I'll have the prices up and a bigger announcement on the Patreon page for what these are going to cost. But Commander decks at that price are pretty decent. There definitely will be some good ones that I think are decent long-term holds. The problem I'm having right now with sealed product in general is it hasn't been aging quite as good as you expect it. There's a lot of things that are really starting to come down. War of the Spark was one of I've been following closely. Like War of the Spark, you would think would go up with all the proliferate and things that have been synergizing with War of the Spark, and it's getting that time where it's old enough that we should see some. And it's really one of the favorite sets of all time for a lot of people. You think you'd start to get that demand to outstretch the supply of it, and I've started to see a lot of those type of products in that age come down, and I don't think it's anything against those. I still think that the demand is quite high for those type of products. The problem is the demand isn't there what it should be, because now we have Lord of the Rings coming out, now we have Commander Masters coming out, now we have Aftermath coming out. There's just so many things that keep pumping out that it just is not giving any breathing room for all the product that still exists on Magic the Gathering that needs to be kind of eaten up before they can start printing out new things. So I'm hoping that Wizards of the Coast can take a step back and learn from Pokemon. I think Pokemon has done it right. They did that hiatus of really doing massive reprints, or instead of they basically let the market recover, let the demand start to outstrip the supply of things, let at the distribution and store level, products be able to sell and prices to go back up. Whereas Wizards of the Coast has not done that. They just keep printing. So I'm expecting to see more of these type of gimmicks and more of these type of dumps, these blowouts in the near future. So again, come over to patreon.com/roguedeckbuilder if you are interested in getting in on these cheap Commander products. I don't know where I'd put these in the scope of things with this. I mean, everything's competing for money right now. That's the biggest problem with Wizards of the Coast, is their greatest competitors themselves. So products, they don't have to really worry about Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon. Their biggest product's biggest competitor is other Magic products. And when you just keep running a plethora of products with every release, this is going to continue to happen. And I don't know the kind of the result for these Commander decks. They must still be profitable, even if they have to blow them out a year later, in the case of like Kamigawa, which is so much still existing at the warehouse level for them. But there is definitely some interesting arbitrage opportunities. Again, my pick would still be that Dominaria, just because it does have at least that one expensive card, and a lot of these, $3 range cards, but some of these other ones aren't too bad. I mean, this era isn't as bad as like the Innistrad Crimson Vow, where I think like the most expensive card out of one of the Innistrad Crimson Vow is Sol Ring at $120. So at least these do have somewhat of demand card. You can also see these trajectories have decently recovered in the past few months. So there are buyers of these particular cards. They haven't been quite as bad stinkers as some of the older Commander sets. Wizards isn't being as stingy as they once were with these type of products. And again, I think the ones, as I mentioned, they're eligible are going to be from the era of the Kamigawa on all the way up to Owlby 1 are going to be eligible for these cheaper prices. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's just check out this really quick before we end it too. I've been noticing some of these. This is actually a decent sign for like what's going on here. This is my question I have to those that are still with me on this video. This is interesting. A lot of this price data is interesting, where you see a lot of products going up. But if you actually go over and look at sales data, this is very dismal for the amount of products that actually been sold. So in the month of March, there was maybe a dozen of these sold for Kamigawa. And I know it's an older product. I know that everyone has them, and they're not excited about Commander decks that are existed, which again is another criticism I have for this particular event, is like, who doesn't already have these Commander decks? Like the Commander players that I know buy them every set, they're going to play in this, they already have them, or they've already picked up the cards for them. So there's not a lot to get excited about for this kind of gimmick of giving out 5 free Strixhaven Commander decks at your discretion. Like, how are you even supposed to do this? Who's the winner? How do you even run this tournament? There's no recommendations to do that. So we recommend using about 1 Commander deck prize support per Commander pod. So it's going to support 5 pods? I don't know. Anyway, back to what I was saying with my thought. I've been noticing a lot of this. See, like Dominaria gone up, Kamigawa gone up for a lot of these products. But again, the sales have been just pretty dismal for, in all of March, there was 14 of these Commander decks sold for Dominaria United. I mean, it's nothing to get excited about as far as sales data is concerned, which, again, probably is why they need to be dumped, because they're just not moving. But there's my analysis, kind of long-winded one, all over the place with this one. But I'll have more of these type videos coming up for you for good buys. Found some other good ones for like theme boosters, as I said, and arena starter kits that I think are interesting buys. If you want to put in the elbow grease to actually break down these products, or you never know a year down the line if some of these might actually be, you know, sought after. Speaking of which, too, I need to go over an overhaul of some of these products that did exist 2, 3, 4 years ago, even dual decks, before they discontinued dual decks. So when I started this business, if you went back like 5 years, any product had doubled up since then. Like even the worst dual decks, even the worst theme decks or starter type decks, all of those were, in the scope of things, pretty rare. And they actually, we're talking about Zendikar time period is when I started getting back into Magic and stuff. So I know there was that big boom. But even, and those products were pretty bad. A lot of some of the products back then were not shiny. They particularly made bad products, so they didn't want to compete with their booster boxes. The booster boxes had to have the better value than these other, supplemental products they did at that time period. But what I'm trying to say is, like, every product, wouldn't matter what you would have picked in Magic the Gathering, it would have done very well. And the demand of the market did a great job of outstretching these older products just through nostalgia. People wanted to collect them. People never opened these products before. That would actually strip it. And you can see the exact same thing with Pokemon. There are very few things that are over a couple years old. They're still available at that distribution price that haven't gone up in value. Not saying they're like particular would have been good investments or good buys, but there wasn't just like a lot of dead products still sitting on the distribution level or hadn't even budged as far as like TCG player sales prices and whatnot. So it's very concerning with Magic the Gathering. On one hand, they keep bragging about their sales they've done with Q1 being 14% higher than the year before, and expecting good, Q2s, Q3, Q4, following suit with, especially the Lord of the Rings set coming out. They're expecting just, I guess, record pre-release sales numbers for it. But on one hand, they have that. On the other hand, they have these products that we've never seen, the amount of saturation, amount of just like nothing moving. So anyway, thought I'd showcase this announcement here and get your thoughts on this particular product, if it is a buy even at this kind of discounted price, or if you expect them to even blow it out more on Amazon. I think, again, it puts these Commander decks at like, what, so the ones that have 4 for 105, you're around, what, $27 a piece, which is, pretty decent for even things that don't have a lot of value in them. Some of these decks, you get it back with just one card in them. Hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Market. Thanks for watching.